Thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day, and we'll do the same without wasting a single second of your time. Bada bing, bada boom, we go into the charts. Bitcoin taking a ride to the upside, 35K. And they liquidated the entire short pool here. Coming back to that diagonal pitch fan, possibly of the 618 of this diagonal pitch fan, which would take you up to the 35.6 region. We came back into the golden pocket region of this 0.5 and the 618 after hanging out at the 236, 382 pause, and boom, to the upside. This diagonal pitch fan we had priced in back since January, so it's been kind of interesting how it honors these diagonal levels in the uptrend as we go up. So let's go into high block capital. What is high block, you say? Well, people lock their liquidity into the charts to get burnt to a crisp by the market maker for not using a stop loss, and we get to see where those crispy characters are. So let's go do that now. So this is the 1 minute time frame for high block. We are currently imbalanced to the tune of $23.29 billion in long liquidity. Do we retrace down into some of these longs? It looks like we did a little bit of the spiking, wick whacking yesterday as people projected their bull flags for 40K, and the YouTube influencers did their grind to induce the retail into that 40K mindset where their Johnny-come-latelys are entering longs where they could possibly retrace back into some 50X at 33,456 at 115 million down here. If we zoom into this pool down below, nothing goes up forever, nothing goes down forever, but there's still $115 million down at 33,814. And if we zoom out a little bit more, there is a pool down of the 50X brethren longs down at 33,456. That's the nearest little liquidity band here on the right hand side that they could come back to, the 100Xers and the 50X brethren. There's less shorts induced as they are scared of the consequences. There is a 25X pool of $194 million up at 34,609. But as they have taken out the external liquidity, there is what exists above now for them to grab, short of the inducement of retail and holding this range to induce more retail and gobble it up and slowly give the insinuation of downside possibly occurring. So let's go into that higher time frame sauce to see what was taken on the higher time frame. The 7-day has very little above at this time. They took it all, so everything to the downside on the 7-day. We're going to make it quick because it is obvious that it's to the downside, but we have to be very careful. Is it truly over? The monthly also has that imbalance to the downside. The 3-month also took out the entire range, imbalance to the downside. Let's go to the 6-month. Took out the entire range, all that liquidity gone, imbalance to the downside. Let's go to the 2-year. Took out that entire 600 billion. 226 billion gone, 224 billion gone, 220 billion gone, 127 billion gone, 131 billion gone, 75 billion gone, 146 billion gone, 83 billion gone, 115 billion gone, 106 billion gone, 118 billion gone, and everything up to 36K is now gone. What exists above this band? Not really much at this time. They'd have to induce it. So if they hold this range and start to induce some more shorts, similar to what they did back in June where they induced the short band of liquidity above that 32K region, which we were going over, they could basically start to induce a new band of liquidity up in the 39K range. But 40K, without any reason to go there, no liquidity to go there, I don't see it coming just yet. They would have to retrace, start to create that band of those shorts ideas up here. We do have 133 billion up at 36.4, which we could come back to in this immediate range. If we go to the monthly, there's essentially some starting to generate billions up in that region, still generating here. If we look at this just fresh on this side of things without looking to the left of what was taken, Still, you have more double digits down below in the 28K region. At some point we could come back for that. So just be careful if you're positioning into longs at this level. Not necessarily the best idea. All right, so let's go look at the liquidity and see. We looked at the liquidity. Now it's time to take a look at, I remember we had this projection too, the trend-based fibs we were looking at here, rise, retrace, continuation, and we came up to that 2 level. Interesting. Second deviation level. Do we get up to that 2.414? We already reached these zones, so we kind of removed them, but maybe they still hold true. I don't know. For now, we'll just leave it because we're projecting into uncharted territory for now, so we'll leave that there. We did have that up earlier, but let's go ahead and throw on the Momo. What do I mean by Momo? It's the momentum. Link in the description for more, momentummaster.info. Scroll down to features, toggle everything at your leisure at Bitcoin's bottom. Before we knew it was a bottom back in November with the rocket ships. What do I mean by rocket ships? Well, we have this thing called the stochastic array, which eerily snipes the bottoms and tops of things. The last one we had for BTC was back over here at 26,699, this rocket ship that played out obviously to the upside. While a lot of people were giving bearish outlooks, prominent streamers in suits and ties were giving out bearish projections at that time. Case in point, while they were giving out these bearish projections on the weekly, we were giving out the rocket ship. So it just goes to show what is possible with an indicator system that is accurate, rather than reading the tea leaves of trend lines. So if we go into the trend lines, we have the trend cloud here, which is a volume weighted cloud formula which thins and expands according to the amount of volume. So let's go ahead and look at all that stuff now, shall we? Looking at the daily time frame, so the daily time frame cloud, we got that cloud bounce. What do I mean by a cloud bounce? Well, we were looking at that position of the, we saw that rocket ship down here on October 12th, a Thursday, and we were seeing the cloud potentially getting kissed. What do I mean by kissing the cloud? Well, we tend to break the cloud, kiss it, and continue. So this idea also did the same thing here. We broke the cloud, we kissed it, and continued on the daily time frame. And boy, did we continue on that idea. So this cloud is now pointing to 2 o'clock. You got the super trend in your favor. This is a bullish narrative going underway, and we had this 3-day talking about how we were getting that resistance on the cloud here and coming, and we needed candles with conviction above it. We got it, and the 3-day baselines were having you at hello. What do I mean by these baselines? Well, these cross-up events of the baselines are your first sign of reversal. They are one of the few leading moving average formulas you will find on the market. So we had it back here, and you can go back to check that September 13th tape to see what we were talking about for that long idea off the bottom here. And so the baselines are still crossed up. You got a huge vector candle on the 3-day, which closes in 29 minutes. This will potentially get rejected up at 36,436 at the adaptive moving average. You can read about the adaptive as well. It is a sensitive yet stable moving average formula, kind of like VWAP. So do we get up to the adaptive here and reject? Do we meander in this zone inducing liquidity to create a new liquidity band? That is the question. Now going down into the 22-hour now getting overbought on multiple oscillators, the money flow, the RSI, the stochastic, the Williams, everything getting into that position for a potential retracement of some kind on the 22. Wouldn't be surprised. We are on Wednesday, October 25th, Asia time. So going to the 12-hour time frame, getting that rejection at that 2 level. Money flow still beneath the RSI, but the RSI is coming down to meet the money flow this time by the looks of it, and the potential of the 12-hour time frame, also giving a stochastic reset. So waiting for that to kind of tip its hand to the downside. It could become a double top, so we'll watch the lower time frame resets. The 6-hour already flashing the alarm of potentially resetting the 6-hour in a hard manner here. The liquidity on everything suggests a retracement into those 23 billion in long liquidity. Going to that 6-month, or sorry, the 6-hour. So that beneath the 6-hour is the 4-hour. The 4-hour time frame, getting the baselines above the price. You start to see on the baselines when the price action closes beneath and begins to cross, downside begins. So are we going to see these baselines cross above the price like that? The last time we did that in October 18th, Wednesday, we started to retrace a little bit, but ultimately bullish. I'm not saying to short necessarily, it is, but if you were ever to open up a short, it would be when all the liquidity was grabbed. When all the liquidity is grabbed, that is the definition of criteria for entry. Liquidity grab, search for entry, reversal. That's all price action is a liquidity grab. It's Pac-Man eating liquidity on both sides. So until there is liquidity to the upside, I don't see a sustainable move beyond this point just yet. Does that mean we reverse and V-shape back down? Probably not. We would have to do the power of threes and get 3 hits to the high, similar to what we did earlier today. If we go into the hourly time frame, you get your shoulder, head, and possible shoulder to the downside. We had that nuke at the exact fatigue point. Just to be clear when that was appearing, we can share that as it was appearing here. It was starting to appear and it spiked down. Where was it? I think we put it out in the Momentum Trading Lab group, sorry. Here we go. So we're seeing that nuke appear in the moment in at 11:15 my time, looks like 11:34, just after the analysis, and then after that it started to drop. And then just watching it throughout the day play out, and that was your basic high of the day. So this is how you watch the baselines fatigue out here, getting the cross down of the baselines on the hourly. The super trend is holding on the hourly, and we've been talking about this entire upside process, how the super trend has been a pivotal point. Here back in October 14th, we came up and the super trend held. We were looking at the potential of a short idea, which flipped into a long once we held this super trend and came back above the cloud and kissed the cloud and continued. Once again, we did the same thing again. We held the super trend, came back above the cloud, kissed it, and continued. So, how does it hold up here in court with the 33,149 region? Do we come back and kiss the cloud and the super trend and continue? It's been a trend for a super trend for a reason. It's been holding since that October 14th fateful day out of here, out of the range. So how does this hourly time frame super trend hold? The liquidity suggests the retrace to the downside. The baselines are working against you here. You have the water trickling down the mountain. So do you see this continue to the downside? Let's go see if there's anyone in the chat really quick with any questions. I gotta take my son to school in a moment's notice. Shout out to everyone here. Yo, APV, what's going on? If you have any alts you'd like me to look at, I can do that really quick. I cannot spend such an in-depth analysis, but 15-minute also getting these stabs, these violent stabs to both sides. They're not letting either side win at this region here. The latecomers are starting to FOMO in and get potentially trapped here. You're getting the shift in the cloud structure. This is the momentum shift of the trend cloud. You're seeing this angle shift and change. Had the bearish retest starting to continue. Now starting to try to tempt this flip of the super trend, couldn't do it, and now starting to potentially come down on the momentum here with the volume expressing downside. So the 15-minute is going to reset potentially. You have 6 time frames overbought. That's what this 6 number represents. This is the stochastic array. These overbought time frames can give you in a glance. That's why we can do a 20-minute analysis, which gives us the projection for the day, and basically it's accurate. Don't need to spend 2 hours analyzing everything, and the dynamic alert system keeps you in sync with that as the alerts come to your phone at each pivot idea. So I still see a little bit of a retrace into some of these vector candles, taking down some of the long liquidity that has been induced. I'm not saying short it, I'm not saying anything, you do you, but coming down into these ideas here would make sense, although they're going to have some violent shake-offs either way. So unless you positioned up at the tippy top, be aware and take care. So we have like a band here that of highs that we hit. Do we come back into this 34.5 region, basically this fib level, or not? 34.548. Do we come back for a third hit to that high and reject? Do we come up and then make a double top on a larger time frame and then come down? That is the question. It is Wednesday, so the continuation idea of Tuesday and Monday seems to be inbound. Midweek reversal is around the corner, so maybe we will continue to go sideways in this idea for Wednesday. It's been having some violent moves either direction, so if you range trade it, you could also put a band down here. So far we bounced off of that low, which is also a fib level, so you could be longing and shorting within this range perhaps. Do you position another one in this super trend idea if we hold it on the hourly? This would be the cloud. Do we hold this super trend or not? To hold or not to hold? That is the question. The super trend has been holding since October 13th. Does it continue on this hourly time frame, or do we wick beneath it and take out some of the liquidity below? Right now there's 50 band stacked here, so the larger liquidity band is to the downside. We do have that 100x just got hit. Let's go take a look at it. So they took out that 115 million 100x pool.
Fatality.
And then possibly coming back for the partner in crime at 33, 4, 5, 6. If you don't know what you're doing in this market, please be careful. There's been a lot of people that do this every day, and keep a look at the liquidity. The 3 pillars of trading: liquidity, math, and momentum. Need to look at all 3 to stay in sync with the marketplace. And that's about it. Let's go see if there's anything you wanted to look at. Anything at all? Doesn't look like it. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the total market cap. It looks like the alts are probably having a stab at things. Looks like they're starting to retrace as well. Hit that projection zone of the liquidity on the total. Also got the nuke there. So a little bit of a pause here. Do we hold that hourly super trend or not? This super trend on the total has been holding since Saturday, October 14th as well. So do we hold this super trend level at the 1.21 trillion or not? So that is the question. That is the idea to look at for everything right now, as it holds this possible range down bound liquidity inducing structure. I would expect some wicks and possible bullish order blocks back up in this range, so keep an eye out as we reset some of these lower time frames like the hourly and possibly the 4 hour. The 4 hour looks like it's still coming down here. 4 hour is resetting. You do have a potential Williams opening up to suppress this down, and a potential cross down event of the 4 hour. I mean, the damage has been done. There is no more liquidity above. They took what they came for. We saw that. We calculated it over many months about how the 600 billion was up in here. They took it. There's nothing more up above. So don't listen to any other YouTubers. There is nothing up above. Everything would just be, it would make more sense to induce it at this point and or retrace into a lot of the longs below. We will see though, we will see. We're watching the ranges here. And that's our story, and we're sticking to it. Possible range bound motion inducing liquidity on both sides, coming back above, coming back up, just basically doing some range bound motion for Wednesday, and possible midweek reversal tomorrow on Thursday. We will see. Did Dixie take a little bit of a push up? It did. It reached down below into an order block and came back up. Swept the lows and came back in. Fair value gap up in here for them to come take. If the dollar takes a surge, you got a possible W formation causing BTC to potentially retrace. Risk on assets, store value assets take a hit during the surge of Dixie. And on that note, folks, that is my story, and I'm sticking to it. Possible range bound and or hit to the downside here. Watch for the cross down event of the baselines here on the 4 hour. Does the price action stay beneath this level or not? Does it start to close with that cross down effect? I would expect one more hit to the high if you were going to do a 3 hit structure. We have 1, 2, and do we get a third hit and then reverse? We will see. Was that it? Was it a shallow hit? Is it a shoulder, head, and a shoulder, and we're going to start to take it lower? That is the question. The nukes don't lie, though, as do the rockets, so we will see. So thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day, and we'll do the same, bringing the fire, the accuracy, the precision, all that fun stuff, and we'll catch you for NASDAQ.